podcast presented by Xenopucks. Brian Matusi here with Andy Matusi. I know we originally talked about wanting to try and do a live show. Due to the setup here, I'm at Andrew's house here for the Eclipse. The setup that we have in his little office area up here wasn't friendly to try and do a video feed or a live show for that matter. So here we are, just recording an old school audio one for you.
Yeah, Throwback Thursday
Yeah,
on a Sunday.
that's right.
It's cool to have you here, though, man. It's kind of cool to be doing this in person and not in Nashville dropping
Yeah.
the ball,
Yeah, that the Nashville one was tough. And then when we did that in Nashville, we were sitting on a couch talking into the.
talking into my phone.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was. It wasn't even the mics that you got.
Yeah, yeah, it was a pretty man, that whole trip was a tough look.
Yeah, no kidding. So that'll be our. I didn't have a tough look of the week planned. That our,
No,
our tough look of the week will
bro,
be us making promises we can't seem to fulfill.
our tough look can be Philly after last night.
Oh my God, yeah, that was a rough game for them. As always, tough look of the week brought to you by Lighting's Property Management. For all your lawn care, landscaping, and snow removal needs, give Lighting a call. They do it all.
That's my line.
I know. Like I said, I'll steer the ship tonight. I had to drag Andrew into getting everything set up here, but here we are. We made we made the trek and reached the promised land of sorts. All right, now let's talk about hockey and talk about shit that matters. Brady Tkachuk last night set an NHL record for hits in a game by one player with 16. He also threw a whiny baby temper tantrum at the end of the game. Uh, the game, the game ends, and Nico Hischier continues to skate the puck towards the Sens' empty net, and he doesn't slap shot it in like Ridley Gregg. He doesn't take a wrist or snipe it. He just lets it slide into the net, and Brady Tkachuk comes from across from the opposing blue line to track him down and try and fight him, and it was a whole thing. And listen, I know it hasn't really gone well for the Sens this year, and it doesn't seem like they can get anything to go right, but I think Brady Tkachuk losing his fucking mind like that, I don't care if he's the captain or not. I really don't. I really think that was pointless. Just let it be at that point.
Yeah, I mean, there's we've talked about this before. There's the unwritten rule that you don't fire a puck into an empty net.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, it's the same thing as firing the puck at the goalie after the whistle's blown. It's the same concept. That's just one of those things that you don't do. So, I mean, I there's got to be some form of retaliation, yeah. But wow, Brady Tkachuk is, I mean, I'm not a fan of the guy if I'm being honest. So, his reaction is right on par with what I would expect out of him.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it was pointless. And really, if you're gonna go after the guy, drop the gloves and try fighting him. Don't scream at him with the refs between the two of you. It was just kind of a mess. But I'm like, that's absolutely hilarious that in this same game he sets a record. He ends the game by throwing an absolute fit on the ice, and he already kind of looks like an adult baby. So for him to
Yes, he
throw a
does.
tantrum like that was kind of fitting.
Yeah, I mean, it was some bush league shit on both ends.
I
So,
wasn't crazy about it from Heischer, but it wasn't overly disrespectful. Like I said, he didn't rip a slap shot into the net. He just kind of glided it in there. The bottom line is that, listen, the game was over. He was either going to score an empty netter or he wasn't. Be glad it didn't count for anything, but
yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was kind of silly for Kachuk to lose his mind. I'm like, maybe take a little bit of that effort into your team's performance on the ice.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's no secret that both of the Kachuk brothers really are hotheads, so it is what
They
it
are,
is.
but I don't know. And I'm not saying Matthew is a saint. I just thought that I felt like the timing of the response and just the nature of it, and I don't know. I didn't really think it was a great look for Brady, anyways. But it is what it is. I do want to move on and talk about another Canadian team in the Toronto Maple Leafs. Ilya Samsonov. This was a post from Sportskeeda NHL on Facebook the other day. Now, this was prior to the game against the Canadians last night, although I believe Samsonov did not play in that game, so these stats should still be correct. Ilya Samsonov in his last 20 starts, 16, 3 and 1, with a 248 goals against average and a 913 save percentage with two shutouts. Listen, if the Leafs are going to get it done in the playoffs this year, they're really going to need some goaltending. And if Ilya Samsonov plays this way, I really don't see why that'll be an issue.
We've talked about it before, and I mean, you and I have talked about it before we ever started doing this show. If the Leafs can get a solid goaltender behind them, then there's a legitimate threat there come playoff time. And like you said, if he stays playing the way he has been, the Leafs are going to make a deep run. So, I think they're a team to keep an eye on. I wouldn't be surprised if they choke like they always do, but keep an eye on them.
Yep. So I saw that stat line and I was like, man, this was I was pretty impressed by Samsonov. I mean, he definitely gets his fair share of criticism in the media, but he's absolutely been putting on a clinic lately. So we'll see how that translates into the playoffs. Um, Next thing on the list I want to talk about is the stupid Coyotes.
Oh my God.
I'm getting sick of it, really. But so they put out a tweet the other day. It had digital renderings of the arena that they plan to build, assuming that they win this land auction. Now the land auction is posted. It ends on June 27th, or the full auction's the 27th. Here's the thing: that's after this season ends. There is a realistic chance that the NHL doesn't let it get to that point and they pull the plug on this and move the team. There's also a chance that nobody else plans to bid on this land and it's the Coyotes for the taking because they have the arena in place. They plan to fully fund the project themselves. They're not looking for any kind of public funding, which I don't think they would get it. Um, but they have this plan in place. If they can run into this auction unopposed, I mean, it might be kind of the most anticlimactic ending to this whole saga that's been going on for the 20 something years they've been in the desert.
I Look, man, I'm just tired about talking about this entire circus. I think everybody's kind of over it at this point. And the artist renderings for this arena, I mean,
They're pretty insane. It
hey,
does look pretty
they're
cool.
insane. And I mean, it will be cool, but part of it's like, are you really gonna risk spending all this money? And I know it's privately funded. That's worth pointing out. It's not taxpayer money that's going towards it. But are you really gonna spend that amount of money on that insane arena and then watch them still draw 5,000 fans a year? I'm not saying that that's going to be the case, but is that really a gamble you want to take?
I think, see, I'm on the other end of the spectrum in that I think if they can get an arena that's an actual arena and it's not a shithole like Gila River Arena and it's not a 4,000 seat arena like
Mullet
Mullet
Arena?
Arena. God, I
Yeah.
can't even think of the name of it. I think if you can get an arena with a proper entertainment district, you give the fans a reason to come downtown before the game or I don't know if it's going to be downtown Phoenix or not, but you give the fans something to do before and after the game and you give them a state of the art facility and the team on the ice is finally showing signs of improvement. I don't see why it can't work, but they need to win the auction. And listen, if there's a lot of people that go after this land, because corporations can be free to bid on this land, from what I understand. I mean, if there's a risk that they're not going to win the auction, then the NHL could just pull the plug.
Well, and we've talked about how Gary Bettman wants a team in
Yeah.
NHL. And from what I was reading, they're going to stop at nothing, including the owners, to get this land, no matter what. Now, how much money they're willing to actually fork out on that is beyond you or me. But the one thing that's in the back of my mind is how well is the team going to or not going to succeed moving forward from here? Because regardless of even if they win the land auction, they still have to go through the process of building the arena. So you're looking at probably another 2 years at least before the team can even play there. So you still got 2 years of the team being probably subpar playing in the Mullet Arena right now. So is this battle they want to continue to fight?
Yeah, I'll be interested to see where it goes. Ultimately, I know the NHL is going to want to put a team back there if they move. So realistically, I kind of hope the Coyotes do get this land, just so we can be done with this shit and we know what's happening going forward. But I just thought it was interesting, and I saw the renderings and they look great, so I figured we make mention of it. How about this the other night, Wednesday night, between the New York Rangers and the New Jersey Devils?
Huh.
National broadcast, the first puck drop. It was over 100 minutes in penalties. I'm looking at the stat line from ESPN, and at 2 seconds of the first period, there are something like 20 different penalties here between all the fighting penalties and the misconducts. It was a total line brawl. All five players on each side of the ice got fighting majors, and they were all kicked out of the game. I know it's been a long time coming because I know New Jersey's wanted Matt Rempe to answer for what was it, the hit on Siegenthaler,
Yep.
and I know the Rangers the last time they played each other were trying to dial back his fighting, but I thought Laviolette getting on top of the bench and losing his shit and going back and forth with who the hell's Jersey's coach, is it David Quinn? Um, but he's going back and forth on the benches, and I'm like, look, you knew this was coming. Let's not do this dance of okay, why are you sending your guys out there to fight? Ultimately, Laviolette gets the last change anyways. He knew who New Jersey starters were and chose to start his fourth line. So you expected this was coming. I don't understand his reaction on the bench. He seemed incensed. I'm like, you had to see this was coming.
I knew it was coming. I expecting a full line brawl out of it though? Not
No,
really.
that was pretty insane. We haven't seen one like that in probably 10 years.
No, and it was a good. I mean, everybody was throwing haymakers. It wasn't just like. I mean, we like you said we've seen line brawls in the past, but it's been a while since we saw one to that extremity
I think the last
or
big one
extremity
was
extent, I should say.
what was it? Probably Calgary and Vancouver, all 10 years ago or so. And before that was also New York and New Jersey. Um, I think that was no, that was also at MSG. That was a good one too. So it doesn't happen very often, but it's still exciting for most fans when it does happen. So just got over 100 minutes in penalties. I just thought that was kind of insane.
I do want to add one thing real quick though. You know, initially when Matt Rempe started in the league, everybody was pumped up about him, myself included, seeing how he was a high energy player in the sense that he liked to get on everybody's skin. He wanted to fight. He wanted to make a name for himself. But I think it's getting a little carried away now. He's starting to become kind of a toxic asshole, I guess is the best way I can put it.
See, the thing is, he comes into the league as this guy who's capable of fighting, and I think I am of the opinion that it was important for him to fight all these big name guys out of the gate to get it over with, because I think he's going to dial back the fighting at some point a little bit, because ultimately, when he's getting kicked out of games like this, they're losing an entire guy for an entire game. So I think he's going to dial it back a little, and I definitely believe that now that he's fought most of the big guys in the league, I think he'll reserve it more so now for situational, like after a big or dirty hit or, to try and set the tone in a game. I don't think he's going to go out there just looking for fights just for the sake of fighting because who wants to get hit in the head just because?
Well, some people live for that shit, but I'm not one of them. So
Yeah, exactly. Um, I also want to talk about the Pittsburgh Penguins, who, because this Eastern Conference playoff race has been such a nightmare, or the wild card race, anyways. The Pittsburgh Penguins have snuck. Well, last night they snuck back into a playoff spot for the first time since November. I know Detroit won today and passed them back up, but now this race for this last wild card spot is pretty interesting. You're realistically looking at one of Detroit, Washington, and Washington lost today. You're looking at probably one of Detroit or Pittsburgh or Philly now. I did not think we'd be here with Pittsburgh. I thought this was pretty much just the corpse of an NHL team after the trade deadline.
well, you said it earlier to me in the week. It seems like I mean this is more or less of a race to not make the playoffs.
Yeah,
It seems like nobody wants this last playoff spot.
yeah. None of these teams have been impressive. I want to bring up the last tens for each of these teams. The Islanders, who are third in the Metro now, 6-4 in their last 10, pretty good. They've actually won four straight, so that's good. But then Detroit, 4-4-2 in the last 10. Pittsburgh, 6-2-2. Again, they're catching back up, and they've won four straight. But then the other two teams who were in these spots, Washington, 3-5-2 in their last 10, including losses in six straight. Philly 2-5-3 in their last 10, losers of seven in a row. So Detroit was sliding for a while. They won today, but really, of all these teams, Pittsburgh and the Islanders are really the only ones who seem like they want it. They're the only ones who are certainly playing like it. So it's just fascinating to me that a team that surely seemed dead at 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago even, is all of a sudden in the playoffs trying to make it.
That's hockey, baby.
It is. Also, I think Elliot Friedman said it best, but I think Sidney Crosby, if they make the playoffs, he's got to be in a MVP conversation because how the fuck are they even at this point?
Yeah, I we'll see what happens. We'll talk about that if they actually make it though.
You know who's not going to make the playoffs?
Detroit.
Well, they might not. I'm going to talk about the St. Louis Blues.
Oh yeah. No, they are
So
not.
the only team in the NHL to not beat the San Jose Sharks this season was the St. Louis Blues. They lost all of their games, and so the Blues are now sitting pretty firmly outside of a playoff spot. They're just ahead of Minnesota, but it doesn't look like either of them can catch Vegas or Nashville. And so St. Louis, again, they have what was it, four losses to San Jose this year. If you turn those all into wins, they are, let's see, they would be in a playoff spot right now. But they go out, they lose again to San Jose yesterday. William Eklund, first career hat trick, and for Devin Cooley, his first NHL win. So congratulations to both of them. I know it's been really tough for San Jose just to get through this year. But there's a lone bright spot as they go and have a really good outing and they sweep a season series against a team, and for the Blues, kind of a nightmare ending to this season when it seemed like they might be able to. get back into the playoff race. They're playing the Ducks right now, and they're tied 2-2. So it's not been going great for them lately. But I thought that kind of the cherry on top was losing to San Jose and not beating them one time this year.
Yeah, what happened to the Blues? I thought Jordan Binnington was going to be their savior, and now he's completely irrelevant.
Well, they played Joe Hofer last night,
No,
but
no.
I think they're playing Bennington today against Anaheim. I think they figured Anaheim would be the harder matchup, but obviously that wasn't the case. So, by the way, you want to know something really cool? I was looking into this because I was trying to find some fun stats for the show. So right now, the NHL, we're on pace to have 40. Yeah, we're on pace to have over 40 different 30 goal scorers this season.
Jesus.
For comparison and how far the league has come in goal scoring, because the last few years prior to from like early 2010s to pretty much 2020, the NHL complained that there was a lack of scoring in the league. So I pulled up 10 years ago, the 2013-14 season. We had 21 different players that scored uh, that scored 30 goals. We're on pace to have over 40. There's a couple guys, and Kaprizov, who is on this list, is now over 40 after today. But there's a couple guys just under, just under 30, and that are probably going to get there by the end of the year. Now we're on pace to have 15 different 40 goal scorers, and we only had three in 2013-14. So the offense has gone a long way. Matthews is on pace to have 70, so we have multiple 50 goal scorers. We have one guy who's over 60 going towards 70. We have over 10 guys that are at or above or at or close to 40, sorry,
Yeah,
and over 40 guys that are close to 30. So I would say if the NHL's goal is to pick up on the offense, I think they can finally, you know,
yeah,
they can let the ship sail because we're finally there.
yeah. I was just gonna say there was only a few years ago the NHL was complaining there wasn't enough scoring in
I
the
mean, they were
league.
changing goalie pad sizes, and
Yeah,
it was just stupid. Now, and to their credit, it has worked. But I would like to attribute a large part of that to the fact that the game is so much more skill and speed based and not so much physical. I mean, half the guys in these lineups now aren't 6'4", 230 pounds. They're 6 foot 190, so they can skate better, they stick handle better. It's naturally a more offensive game. I'm sure some of the tweaks they've made have allowed for this, but I certainly think that um, just the fact that the game has moved more towards skill based and not so much physicality as it always had has a large plays a large role in this.
I have nothing to add.
No, I just thought that was a neat stat. I'm like, God, that's how, especially the fact that we have all these 40 goal scorers and we had 10 years ago is pretty nuts.
Yeah, that's a little insane to me.
Jamie Benn won the scoring title 9 years ago with 87 points. Connor McDavid won it last year with over
Yeah.
150. So yeah, I would say the offense is ticked up quite a bit.
Well, keep in mind, 9 years ago, Connor McDavid was not in
I
the
was going to
league.
say
So,
he was drafted 9 years ago.
yeah.
In fact, the year Jamie Benn won the scoring title, that was when Connor McDavid was drafted, and it's been his league ever since. So yeah, I was like, well, that's pretty insane how much the offense has kind of taken off in the league. So before we go, a couple things we just want to quickly shout out our sponsors, Xenopucks. Since we're not on video today, I'm not going to have Andrew do his show and tell.
No, there's no reason for it. I mean, you've heard us talk about them enough.
Yeah.
You know what they're about. You know how good their product is. If you haven't gone over there and checked them out at this point, I don't know what else
Yeah,
I can tell
we
you.
we can't come to your house and go on the website for you. You're just gonna have to do it yourself.
Yeah.
Also, the same goes for our friends at Hockey Wraparound. Don't forget, with Hockey Wraparound, you can go there and enter the promo code Fresh Ice Pod. You get 15% off your order. So go check them out. Go check out Xenopucks as well. Don't forget to send us in questions. I know we won't have a YouTube video, but the audio I believe will still be uploaded to YouTube. So comment on there any questions you may have for us to read on Wednesday's show. Email us contact at freshicehockeypodcast.com. We'd love to hear some questions from you guys, and of course, we will read them on Wednesday's show when we're back on video.
Just to add to the asking us questions, in regards to one that we had on the last episode from that guy in Edmonton,
Yeah.
I did confirm his name is Stefan,
All right,
so
we
we
got it
were
right.
correct. Yes. And he had nothing but good things to say to us. So Stefan, thanks for listening to the show. We greatly appreciate you.
Yep, you bet. So yeah, sorry we didn't have any video today, but just the setup just didn't wasn't really favorable, but there was a couple things I still wanted to talk about. I'm like, you know what, we're here, let's do the show. And now again, we'll be back to video on Wednesday, no problem, and we'll read questions again. And for those wondering, I did not forget about the college hockey tournament, but for whatever reason, the Frozen Four takes place 2 weeks after the rest of the tournament, so they take a 1 weekend hiatus. Why that is, I'm not sure, but we'll talk about that more next week. And boy, next Wednesday we'll probably be doing a playoff preview show because the playoffs start next Saturday.
Holy crap.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know
they
it's
do.
coming quick. So
Jesus.
next Wednesday, I would assume by next Wednesday we'll probably have all the playoff teams figured out.
Yeah, and I just want to say too, even though we didn't have a video episode this week, you can still go on our YouTube page, Fresh Ice Hockey Podcast. Check out the videos we do have up there. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. And follow us over on social media too, so you can keep up with us and keep up with the show and check out behind the scenes content as we post it. I try to put as many reels as I can out from the episodes on our social media, so make sure you check those out as well.
Yep. And like I said, make sure to get those questions in. We would really love to get more of those in. I would like to spend more of our Wednesday shows answering listener questions. So anything you can think of. I mean, it can be anything. Thoughts on rules of the game, jerseys, which we've already done, thoughts on your specific team. I mean, I know there's teams we have yet to talk about. We will eventually cover all the teams as we get into the off season or even after the regular season because we're going to cover all the playoff teams. We'll discuss the teams that didn't make it. So we will get to your team if we haven't yet. But make sure to get those questions in because if you want us to talk about your team, that's the best opportunity to do it.
Absolutely. And if you're just someone who listens to our show because you want to learn more about the game, you can send us questions on rules of the game if it's something that you don't understand. There's no dumb questions, so don't feel embarrassed. That's what we're here for.
Alrighty, well, I think we can wrap here. It was a pretty quick show, but that's okay because my starting to get pretty sore from sitting here.
Yeah,
So
that's all right.
so that's all right. My chair at home is honestly even less comfortable, but I just managed to get through. So that's all right. We will see you guys in a couple days, and thanks for tuning in.
Take care.